G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of Commanding the Narrative. My name is Stephen Tripp. Thank you to everyone who is watching. Please welcome him to the stage. Dr. Christopher Reynolds, welcome back to Commanding the Narrative, mate.
Good evening, nice to be with you, Stephen.
To a guy called David Marr, who I didn't know anything about. This is a clip of him discussing, I guess he just wrote a book and he was speaking to the Australia Institute.
What happened in Australia was the creation, an amazing creation of a fake history for the country, a fake history we could be proud of. And that fake history goes something like Cook, convicts, sheep, gold, Eureka Stockade, Gallipoli.
So he's making the point that our whole history's been fabricated. It's been fabricated to make us feel patriotic about Australia and warm and fuzzy and whatever. And Cook, the convicts, sheep, gold, Eureka Stockade and Gallipoli are all fake.
Just because someone can hold up their hand and list off a number of topics, what's that? That's not history. And I don't as such, I don't know, I feel sort of strange about this word history. I'm the person who looks for details. I'm the person who looks for facts, relationships, analysis, and I'm the person that will look behind why things happen. So if you want to call that history, well, fair enough. But just for the chronologically listing dates and events, to me, so what? Okay, you've got a chronology, and just because you can systematically list 5 things out of 100 things that happened in that period, I mean, he missed Bligh, he missed the Rum Rebellion, he missed the Irish Rebellion, and what about MacArthur, Macquarie, the 200 churches, what about putting up the Sydney Hospital that became, the Parliament? I mean, just 5 things is nothing, is it? So to say we've got a false history, it sounds like he's got no idea what he's talking about as far as I'm concerned, when you want to call that history. If you wanted to say, where's the analysis? What happened? What were the consequences? You're much more likely to find yourself with an understanding of who and why and when. Now, when I do that, I am incredibly impressed with the Christian benevolence that was taking over the British world. The fact that there were so many people who had become Christians in England, and how that affected even the king writing and saying, all right, we're going to go out to this little place, on the other side of the earth, we're going to go to whatever we call New South Wales, of course. And what's happening is that there are all these natives down there, I suppose, we could do a treaty, but of course nobody rules the place, of course. I mean, they don't read and write, and they have no value. So, I mean, what are they going to think about, we're here to do a treaty. Would you like to do a treaty? How about 10, 10 commandments? We'll do 10 treaties. Well, of course, he said, we can't do any of that. It's a piece of nonsense to think about that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to benevolently make them all British subjects equal under the law. And you're going to care for my subjects. And that is my commandment, that you will care for my people, the natives of Australia. And that's what the governors set out to do. They had equal rights under the law. And I found cases up to Macquarie where Aborigines were allowed to take ship's captains to court and sue them because they had a right as a British subject to take somebody to court. So where's all that in the history sort of jumping around with Eureka Stockades? So we totally missed the incredible event of the British coming to this country. And the Aboriginal people, the natives, all I can say is, by God blessed, that it wasn't someone like the Romans or the French or the Spanish who would have just walked through and slaughtered everybody they came across. So, there's been an incredible blessing to this country. And we've overlooked the goodness that came here and quantifying argument, because it is a movement, as you've just sort of pointed out, to bring anarchy, to destroy the pride that we have in this incredible country. See, I said when I started this, I had a project. I was just out to find the truth. I was disgusted with the rubbish that I was reading as Australian history as we started to look at Wikipedia. See, it's the Santa Claus syndrome. If you tell yourself this rubbish often enough, the Santa Claus thing, you'll start to believe it. And I'd find things and I got upset. But by the time I finished this incredible book, let me take a minute and hold it up for people. By the time I finished this book, what a capital idea. Australia, 1770 to 1901, what a capital idea it was to come off to Australia. I found my sense of pride in this country up by 100%. This is a phenomenal country. I mean, what we have achieved without a revolution is just incredible. It's a shame of what's going on at the moment, I have to say, where even our Prime Minister can't even get an audience with the US President because they think, well, why would we want to talk to the leaders of Australia? We're in a shocking position internationally at the moment. But this country is absolutely a phenomenal place. And I just love the country and love the culture, and our history is just fantastic. And the sense of humour, I just wrote up, take a stack of, and Wentworth, he's had enough of this Wilberforce's, was it Wentworth and Hobble? No, what was the guy that went down with Wentworth to Melbourne? Anyway, he's had enough of this right there. And the Murray River's in flood. And the guys challenged him and said, we need to bail out and go back to Sydney. And Wentworth spills the rest of his tea into the fire. And he grabs his mate, Jim, who's not, works for him. He says, righto, Jim, it's time to get your hair wet. And they're going to jump into the flooded Murray River. And they get a rope. And he said, no, we're going to swim to the other side, and we're taking a rope with us. And he says to Jim, now, you see that gum tree on the other side? Jim says, yes. He says, no, the other one. It was that incredible thing about the country, even as they taste, going to jump in and going to drown, It's just this amazing country that we would dare to do things and stand up. And what we see in Donald Trump, and we need here, is some blasted leadership. We need some leadership. Where is our vision for where this country could go? I remember a fella said to me last year, he said, listen, you're talking about history, and he said, Queensland is bigger than Europe. We haven't even started to develop this place yet. And I just went, you get the idea. We're so caught in the little domestics, and we've lost the sense. See, Arthur Phillip had a vision for this country. And when Macquarie came along, he picked it up and changed it to bring in prosperity. And he started this nation, and they believed in this country. Now, where are our leaders? They're certainly not in Wikipedia, who have any pride in this country. Any pride. Yes, there were skirmishes, and yes, there were many successes, and people the Aborigines that got on the ships and went around the country with Flinders and went off to Mauritius and other places. There was an incredible amount of integration. So just to pick on the downside, you could just say, Australia's a horrible place. There's all sorts of horrible things go on every day. Well, you could believe that if you just watch 7 News, I suppose. But there's also so many successful, exciting, wonderful relationships and things that people do. And this is a great country, and it's a blasted shame that our youth can't hear about it. I'm really hoping that this book I'm writing now, called Leaders and Larrikins, Great Australian Stories, where I'm introducing you to the characters. I'm putting it into dialogue, like Wentworth saying with mate Jim, we're going to swim across the river, it's time to get your hair wet. You're going to meet them. And I'm really hoping that the schools or something will just pick this up as they get to meet these great Australians who make up our history.